What up, though, everybody? This is Kyle, and you are watching Knockouts and Three Counts. I am fresh off of watching AEW Dynamite, which I thought, all in all, was a great episode. Definitely had some more insight to where we're going to go with this TNT Championship tournament, and a lot more tonight, and the possible retirement of the natural Dustin Rhodes. Before we get to that, though, I'm going to need you to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the great content. Seriously, though, if you don't, you're going to miss the great interview that we just did with the American Kaiju, Lindsay Snow. She just signed with NWA. She'll be making her appearance on NWA Power, hopefully whenever we can get out of this whole coronavirus thing. And shout out to anybody that's been affected by this. Our prayers are with you. So like I said, hit that subscribe button and make sure you don't miss it. Let's get into AEW. AEW... I like the vignette build to the matches tonight for the TNT tournament. I like the importance that was made for each individual superstar that's in it. The fact that they had people, they're showing that each of them want it for a different reason. Dustin Rhodes to show that he's still got it. You've got guys like Kip Sabian and Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin who, are young and hungry and looking to get that first big, title for them. Or you've got a guy like Cody who, now he's not able to face, he is not able to go for the world title anymore. The TNT title could be his only shot at gold right now in AEW. So there's a lot of good reasons for each individual person to win that. So that brings us to our first match of the night. You've got Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara being obviously the bigger of the two of them. I would say maybe a little bit better athlete, but you've got the scrappy Darby Allin, who, if you look in the top right corner, you can see our interview with him from StarCast 4, which he didn't like our question about Evolve, but hey, things happen. In this match, I really liked the fact that they really drove home the point that it's a big match for both Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin, that both of them need this win. Not I need it more than him. They both need it, and they both know it, which to me brought that level of a kind of a that you knew what they were fighting for. As far as the match, it was a good match, which I expected with the two guys that were in the ring, especially with them being such daredevils and risk takers. I wasn't surprised by that at all. What I thought was really cool about this match, though, was the story to it. Darby obviously being the smaller of the two of them, and they're really playing the underdog role with him and showing that, he's having to fight from the bottom with Sammy Guevara. Like I said, it was a great match, and I loved the way that he had to finish him with that pin and really tying him up so that Sammy couldn't get out. Darby Allin moves on to the next round, even despite taking a nasty bump on that ladder, which, oh my God, it looked like there wasn't enough space for it. But nonetheless, Darby Allin moves to the next round. Before I get to the next big part of the show, in my opinion, if you guys had a part in the show that you thought was your favorite part of tonight's AEW Dynamite, or something that you didn't liked, whatever you thought, make sure you drop in the comments and let us know, or tweet us at KO3CPod anywhere you're on social media, and let us know what you thought of tonight's episode, or if you've got any, if you agree, disagree with my thoughts, or, you got a rebuttal to anything I got to say. Like I said, drop them in our social media, drop them in the comments on here. We'd love to hear them. So I'm going to cover some of the other smaller things that I saw that I thought were kind of cool. I really liked what we saw from Matt Hardy. He came out in the full broken Matt garb and, with the maskus out, and then split into regular Matt Hardy, the one who will not die. It was really cool to kind of see the two complete different spots in the personality for Matt Hardy. I like that he's kind of getting to do what we all kind of hoped he would do in WWE after his run in Impact. I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to do with this with Jericho and Matt Hardy. And I mean, you got to know with two guys like that they're going to have one hell of an elaborate story, and it's been entertaining just with the stupid stuff with Vanguard 1 and the shirt and the little bit of the bubbly and all that stuff for Jericho at his house. And now you've got this and the proposed match with Matt Hardy, and really playing up the fact that he feels that Jericho is sending the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara, which you can check out our interview with him up in the right corner right there as well. He's sending Sammy Guevara to the Wolves. We'll see what develops with that. I thought that was really cool, and I really hope that we continue to see more from Broken Matt. I liked that we saw a lot of the indie workers again, even though, granted, we know that a lot of this is probably going to only be for the coronavirus thing. It's cool to see local guys getting a shot, and man, if you're one of those guys, you really got to knock that out of the park, because if you don't, you never know if you're going to get another chance like this again. I'm sure that they probably got to do with QT Marshall School, which is where I think that they were running those tapings out of. Then we saw a vignette from Scorpio Sky kind of telling his road to getting to AEW. And like I said, I've really liked the video work they have been doing with AEW ever since its inception. I really hope that we continue to see stuff like this. Like I said, it's been a joy to watch. You know, it brings me back to the stuff from when I was younger, up in the Attitude Era. I really liked the vignettes back then. And, you know, I'd like to see more vignettes when well done and not overdone in wrestling. Shout out to Orange Cassidy, man. He's only had a few limited matches in AEW, but, you know, we've seen him wrestle for GCW and all those kind of things. He really showed up with Jimmy Havoc tonight. The guy's a great athlete, and if there was ever anybody who embodied the spirit of less is more, I think Orange Cassidy is that guy, because he doesn't really give a lot of expression. There's not a lot into his ring gear. He kind of doesn't care, and that is his persona, but in that, it's so different than everybody else. It's gotten him over huge. I'm a big fan of Orange Cassidy. Like I said, it's been great to see what he did. He had a great showing tonight against Jimmy Havoc. And shout out to Jimmy Havoc, man. Jimmy Havoc is very underrated. Most people think of him as just a deathmatch guy, when in reality, man, the guy can go in the ring in his mat work. If you haven't gotten to see too much of that yet, because he's only had a few matches in AEW, check out his stuff in MLW and elsewhere, because man, he really can show out. The last match, and the most important match, and the one that they built the whole show around, was between Dustin Rhodes with Brandy at ringside for him versus Kip Sabian versus Penelope Ford, with Penelope Ford at his side. They built it up. They did a really good job of building the fact that if Dustin lost, you know, he felt that he needed to retire, and that everybody was wondering if he was blowing it out of proportion. But, you know, it showed through the match that it just gave him that fire. I liked that he brought Brandy out with him, as if you've been paying attention to the matches on AEW Dark, the tag team of he and QT Marshall have had Brandy Rhodes by their side, so she could kind of play the equalizer for him tonight against Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford. She still tried to get involved, and Brandy got a little physical with the spear, and it ultimately helped Dustin Rhodes pick up the win. And I really thought that a great little piece of it that Chris Jericho threw in on the commentary, being that he really put over that even though he didn't like Dustin Rhodes, he knew how great of a talent he was, that he was one of the best to ever do it, and really trumping up, you know, that him being the son of Dusty Rhodes, you know, they've got it in their blood, just like Cody, you know, and he said the same thing with Cody, and that's something you've always heard and makes so much sense, but people don't think about it. I mean, if you beat a guy who isn't worth anything, this is just old fight logic as well. if you beat a guy who's a bum, what good does that do you to beat that guy? You know, if you beat a guy who you're telling everybody and you're making it clear is a threat to you and makes you a little nervous, then you've done something. Then you've beat somebody. I thought that was a great touch by Jericho. I like that they're continuing with their storylines here in AEW. I wish and hope that WWE can start to do that a little bit more themselves. All in all, I thought it was a great episode for what they were able to do with all things considered with the coronavirus. Like I said, we'll have to see what continues to happen as Blood and Guts has been postponed, and where we go from here with the whole thing with Matt Hardy. That being said, thanks for checking this out, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. And until next time, make sure you are staying tuned and checking out all of our social media at KO3C Pod, because next week we cover Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, but what if we brought you a guy from the music world, Zoltan Bathory from Five Finger Death Punch. He trains jiu-jitsu, which I'm sure many of you probably don't know. We're going to dive into how he got into jiu-jitsu, how he actually linked up with one of my coaches, Angelo Popovsky, who will also be on the show. And myself, Angelo, and Zoltan are going to talk about the applicability of jiu-jitsu in different lifestyles. For Angelo being a King of the Cage champion, but yet still a high school teacher the whole time, and being a world-renowned black belt, all while still being a teacher. How did that help him as a teacher? Did it cause any problems? Did he ever come to school after getting his ass kicked? I mean, there's plenty of stuff to uncover there. For me, for the first time, I'm really going to let you guys in on a little bit of what happened with me as far as my health issues and how that led me to jiu-jitsu and MMA. I have a purple belt myself, but this isn't about me. This is about the applicability, if I could spit it out, of jiu-jitsu. We're going to talk about how, for me, having my health issues with Crohn's and cerebral palsy, how that was so very helpful to me in my life, and how it's led me to what you're watching, if you're watching this video, and interviewing some of the top stars in MMA and pro wrestling and boxing, combat sports alike. And with Zoltan, you know, you got a guy who's all over the world with Five Finger Death Punch. They've got their new album, F8, which you can check out at Apple Music, anywhere you get your music. Check out their music. But how does a guy like that get into jiu-jitsu? How did him and my coach meet? How does jiu-jitsu affect his road schedule? We're going to get into all that and more. Make sure you check it out this Tuesday. Knockouts and 3 counts. Stay tuned. And like I said, thanks for watching.